Welcome everybody to the Anime Lounge podcast. I'm your host Matt, alongside Ricky and Lance. As per tradition, we start off all of our episodes with an adult beverage of choice. And for me today, I am drinking Lance's birthday present, the Glenfiddich, along with a spotted cow. Ricky, what are you drinking?
I'm glad you said that first because I know how to pronounce it. I'm drinking the same shit, but I'm chasing it down with a silver bullet. Lance?
Today, I'm going back a couple episodes and continuing some Suntory whiskey, Toki style, and I also have some spotted cow on the side.
You really like the Suntory stuff, don't you?
It's not bad, dude. It's a lot smoother than when I originally found it. I know we talked about this before, but you just see some random ass Japanese whiskey sitting on the shelf and like, fuck it, let's try it. And then it turns out to be pretty damn good.
Did you send us a picture of a vodka they made too?
Yeah, so there was, I don't remember what it was called necessarily, but I know we're not necessarily like Russian style drinking straight vodka, but I'd give it a try.
Oh, you didn't pick it up yet?
No, I didn't pick it up.
Well, they actually make a higher shelf whiskey than the one that you got too.
The Suntory?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we can look into.
He's calling your broke ass out, man. Damn!
I mean, we did split the Johnny Walkers, so.
I'm just kidding, bro.
Yeah, the Suntory wasn't that expensive. It was probably like somewhere between $30-$40.
Yeah,
that's pretty good whiskey. Last time I tried it.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty good.
All right, just to kind of get back into what we're actually here for. Today's episode is actually going to be about Erased. It's a 12-episode anime that came out in 2016. It is a little different than what we've been normally doing because it's not all action-packed and have all these crazy fight scenes. But to kind of give us a little bit of synopsis, Lance, why don't you do that for us?
Sure. Today's synopsis about Erased. We start out with a guy named Satoru Fujinuma. He is a 29-year-old aspiring mangaka, which is someone who wants to make a living off of drawing manga. And he's got a part-time job working in this pizza place. And we come to learn that he's got this special power that he calls revival. Revival allows him to go back in time anywhere between, 1 to 6 or 7 minutes?
1 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
1 to 5 minutes, where he can save someone's life or stop something bad from happening. And to get to the point, one day his mom is attacked by somebody, and in the process of him finding his mom dead on his floor, he panics and runs away and finds out that he is now being pinned for his mother's death. Luckily for him, he gets his revival power to jump him back in time, but this time, instead of jumping him back a couple minutes, he gets pushed back 18 years. Now, he doesn't understand why he got pushed back 18 years, but we come to learn that maybe if he stops the death of a serial killing spree, that it might prevent his mother's death. And then we get to see a bunch of stuff unfold from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty
That's a little choppy.
I know you're just go for it.
So because this is a little bit different, obviously we can't talk about favorite fight scenes and stuff like that.
Right. But before we jump into any kind of conversations, let's get some Lance's lessons in. Today's Lance's lessons is going to be the Japanese word for erased. That is shokyo sareta, spelled SHOKYO SARETA. It's quite a handful of words going on there, but shoko sareta means erased. And of course, that's very relevant today because the anime itself is called Erased. So find that on our social media pages. Make sure you give that one a like and continue following us. So let's start with some character talk.
All right.
Ricky, you got any favorite characters or someone on the top of your mind?
Kenya. Kenya, right away, just seeing how loyal of a friend he is.
Uh-huh.
Somebody that you can trust or somebody that Satoru can trust. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Kenya.
All right, just making sure. But yeah, just somebody you can trust right away, and he was trying to help him out from the get-go. Like, he was telling him he's not alone. Basically, don't lie to me. Let me help you.
Right.
So, I like that. It's not like the previous animes we watched, that there's a lot of action, a lot of fighting, so you're not really basing your favorite character on awesome power attacks and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Matt, who'd you like?
So I definitely I wouldn't say Kenya is my favorite. I really liked him a lot. But probably Satoru, just because of all the things he had to go through, and then even though his reasoning behind wanting to befriend everybody was so that they didn't die, his idea just trying to make friends with everybody was in premise was great. Mm-hmm. It was a good idea. It's like be friends with that person that's alone, because when he talks about how when he originally went through that timeline in 88, he saw Kaio standing there and he just thought she was some weird girl by herself, and this time he was like, you know what? She might be, why don't I give her a chance to show me why she's doing this instead of just judging her without actually knowing her.
Well, I can see what you're saying, but he also did have some selfish motives. He's trying to save his mom from dying.
Well, and her though.
Well, at the moment, he didn't necessarily know how this was going to inflict how his mom died. He just came to the decision that he's at this point in time where he could prevent Kaio's death. So
yeah. What about
I think
you?
it just kind of worked its way in.
What about you, Lance? Who's your favorite?
My favorite character is Satoru's mom, Sachiko.
The witch?
The witch. I loved every time he called her a witch. Mm-hmm. She's too damn smart. She knew exactly what was going on all the time. But I love best mom in anime I've ever seen. She was always there for him, always there to make sure he had a meal, gave him his love, and on top of that, she was always there to help out with Satoru and his friends. Mm-hmm. And even when shit was getting so intense at the end, when they brought Kaio back to the house after the bus, after Kaio's been missing for 3 days at that point, mom just let her in, basically treated her as a daughter of her own.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
I thought that was pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very good point. I just kind of want to switch my answer. I like her a lot. You're right. Just full support.
Oh,
there was no overthinking or no he was scared of his mom saying oh, I thought you would kick my ass or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But full support, man. I like it. That was awesome.
And then when he wakes up super early to go see Kaio, she's already making breakfast for him.
Right.
And then, so in the manga, you find out what time it is. It's 2:30 in the morning when he goes to...
Damn. I know in the anime they show that it was still dark outside whenever Satoru woke up to go early to Kaio's house. I didn't realize 2:30 in the morning? That's insane.
Well, the bus where she was staying at, that's when he goes there at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay, still. But yeah, but still. And when mom made that second breakfast because she knew something was up.
That was awesome.
Yep.
And then to give Kaio that breakfast.
What was that note? That I put my son's favorite ingredients in here?
Ooh.
Was
favorite
that the
items.
Same scene?
I think it was items, but yeah.
I wrote that down somewhere.
Yeah, that was cool. She's a witch.
Yeah, real quick, let's go back to Kenya.
Okay.
Because when this anime first started and you met Kenya, he was... I want to split this off into a couple different things. One, I know, Rick, you haven't watched it yet, and it's going to be our next episode we're going to cover. But Kenya super ass reminded me of a couple characters from The Promised Neverland. Just the way he thinks and the way he wants to go about stuff. It just reminded me of what we're about to get ourselves into next. So I don't know. Keep that in mind for when we're watching our next series. But
I'll be looking forward to that.
So with that being said, the other branch is I thought Kenya was also going to be someone with a revival ability. Okay. I thought that somehow he also traveled back in time because he was always suspicious in a good way of what Satoru was up to. He wanted to know what was going on. He knew that Satoru was acting different. He knew that he was acting more mature. I mean, obviously, because it's, different mindset in the body of what used to be. But he just gave me that feeling that
because he was far more mature himself.
Exactly. Yeah. He knew something was up, and maybe he had something that he was hiding himself. So I thought he was holding something back this entire time. I was really hoping that he would also be another revival kind of person, but of course we find out that he's not. He's just a good kid.
That'd be interesting too, because I kind of thought the same thing with was it? No, not Kaio. Was it Kaio? The girl that got abducted the first time?
Yeah, Kaio.
Kaio, yeah.
Yeah. I thought the same thing with her because she calls him out on his bullshit being fake. For some reason I thought she was part of that in a different timeline where she came back in time, even though, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Because with this Back to the Future, going to the future, going to the past, right. All that, it just reminded, or it gave me the idea of having multiple timelines. And obviously you do, because he grows up later on being in an 11-year-old coma, right?
15 years in that coma, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought she had something that she was hiding too.
Yeah. I mean, I would have totally appreciated that one going in, but at the same time, I'm sure they wanted this one to be a little bit more realistic with the touch of fantasy of going back.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see why they did what they did.
Why do you think he has that ability?
I don't know. I really wish they would have explained it a little bit.
I think it was strictly for this incident.
Yeah, like just to explain a fun story. But
he's had this stuff happen to him before.
Yeah. Because they were saying that the mom has noticed these kind of tendencies ever since he was a little kid. Like in the very beginning, episode 1, when Satoru is still a 29-year-old and they're about to witness the kidnapping, and then he goes back and asks his mom, like, "Hey, look around, something's not right." And then she makes that comment about something like, "You said this before," and then she hardcore looks around, like she gets super serious about it, and then she stops that potential kidnapping that was right there. So,
but is it one of those things where it's not till, like, she talks about it happening when he was a kid? I mean, technically 10, 11 years old is still a kid, and especially to her, that's still going to be young. So I wonder if it was one of those things that just happened after the incident of the kidnappings and murders.
Well, he made mention that his abilities come into play multiple times where he's saved multiple people.
And he never benefits from it.
He never.
So it's happened plenty of times.
Right, and then he also says that, and the thing that sucks is that sometimes he'll get a witness, like that other girl from the...
like Irie.
Irie.
Yeah, Irie.
Yeah.
Because Irie was a witness, and now that brought her into the mix a little bit, at least. So yeah, he's always had this, essentially a superhero power, but he never wanted like the superhero status.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think it has to do with anything about the serial killer or the kidnapping. I think it's just his ability.
Okay.
But I want to know how.
Right.
That's my interest.
Speaking of the kidnappers, did you guys have any guesses before you found out who the kidnapper was?
I thought the kidnapper had something to do with Kenya being a snitch. That's the only thing that started me out in the beginning.
Okay.
Just because I just suspected Kenya so bad in the beginning. Like, not for him himself to be the kidnapper, but I thought for sure he had some kind of role to play in it. But halfway through the series, I definitely suspected the teacher.
Okay. Ricky, what about you? Did you have any suspicions in anybody?
No, I was just waiting for an answer. I wasn't really looking too deep into it. I was enjoying the show.
All right.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, it was... At first, I thought it was going to be Yuki.
Oh, yeah.
I thought,
Yuki.
Yuki or Yuji?
Yuki.
Yuuki.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be his father, actually. I thought it was... So I thought it was because they make the mention of how he didn't want to say anything about his father because he didn't want to basically ruin the family's name. Mm-hmm. And I had thought that it was going to be his father. And then when they were leaving the ice rink, I was like, oh, okay. See, now everything's kind of falling into place. And then you get that plot twist.
Yeah.
So, but I could kind of see, like, after I read through it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see some of those signs where you see that it's the teacher. Mm-hmm. But what gave it away, or well, not really gave it away, but what made you think it was going to be the teacher then?
In the beginning, keeping Kenya aside, what gave it away to me was he was way too involved. Like, he was being way too nice, and Satoru was giving him too much information. Like, I thought that was just stuff that he was going to play off of and use to his advantage, which of course was kind of actually opposite. Like, all of that actually worked to Satoru's advantage.
Is it Satoru or is it Satoru?
I guess it's spelled Satoru.
But they were saying Satoru.
Right.
So I'm just going to go with how they were enunciating it in the show.
Right.
I'm just asking for.
No, I agree, because in the show, in English, they were saying Satoru, but it's spelled Satoru, which looks like Satoru, but...
I didn't watch it subbed, so I guess
It wasn't subbed. I couldn't find it subbed.
You couldn't?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Were subtitles on Funimation?
Oh, not with subtitles.
No,
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't watch it.
I mean...
the actual subtitle, not the sub version.
Right, yeah.
I'm talking about the sub version of it.
Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, couldn't. I was, to go off on a quick tangent, do you guys know that there was a live action Netflix adaptation
Of this?
of Erased?
No.
Yeah, it came out in 2017.
I saw that while I was doing research on this.
Yeah.
So.
I saw that as well, doing a little bit of research. And then last night I watched the first 2 episodes of it. It is 100% like hardcore Japanese, of course, obviously. But they had the option for English dub. So I was watching it in broken ass English. It was a little comical and a little cringy, but with only watching the first 2 episodes, and the series itself is also, it's not a movie, it's a series. It's also 12 episodes long. And from what I can tell, they follow it exactly to a T. So,
really?
So I wish I had found this a little bit earlier and was a little bit more prepared to talk about the Netflix version. Because I would like to see how they ended it versus how the anime ended it and stuff like that. But they were pretty on point, and I was impressed with it.
All I'll say, without giving too much away, is that there could be an ending, a different ending.
For the Netflix version?
For the Netflix version, yes.
Okay.
So,
I think I might know where you might be thinking going.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to...
The manga is a little bit different. Anyway.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to the manga.
That's my angle.
You'll have to let us know, Lance, and tell us.
See, I'm gonna start watching it.
All right, both of you can tell us. That.
Actually, that's pretty tight. Because not even lying, before I got here, I told the wife, I'm like, I think this is an anime she'll like because she likes this murder mystery type shit. And now I'm gonna tell her to watch the one on Netflix.
It was.
She'll be a little cringed at it if she watches it in English though, because the English actors are kind of comical about how bad they are. But it's because they're trying to directly go off of direct translations, so it sounds a little silly. It's just because in Japanese they're so nice and formal in some situations. So that's the best way I can say it. I would definitely say the anime. The anime is good for like literally anybody. Even a non-anime watcher could probably get into this.
Yeah.
Even if you watch like Disney cartoons and stuff like that, if you can handle that form of animation, there's no way you could say no to this, especially because there's all this tense drama.
Oh, now that I bring that up about my wife, you know who else watched this in my household before I did?
Before you did?
Yeah, my oldest son.
He saw this before you did?
My oldest son, Nate. I was talking to my wife about it, and he comes around the corner. Is like, "What'd you say?" Like, eavesdropping, you know. And he's like, "What anime are you talking about?" I'm like, "Erase. That's what we're doing tonight." He's like, "Oh, I seen it." I'm like, "No, you haven't." And I'm like, "What's it about?" And he gave me a quick synopsis about it. I'm like, all right, no, shut up. Don't tell mom. I want her to watch it.
That's funny. That's great.
Yeah, this is definitely a good one. I would agree with Lance when it says that, yeah, it's not something that you have to be super big into anime to enjoy, especially if you like thriller or suspense type stuff. It'd be great. And then you obviously got you got a couple of your childish things, just because, I mean, they are, 10? I think they're 10 years old, right?
11.
They're 11?
Yeah, because if Satoru is 29 and he gets plunged back 18 years,
yeah, that's true.
That makes him 11.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think they said he was in like 5th grade.
Yeah,
I didn't write that down, but I think I remember 5th grade being said.
Math is hard.
So it's you got some of that childish stuff going on, but for the most part, it's super serious. So you don't have to worry about too much childish things going.
Yeah, some mature ass children, man. But then again, it's like 1988, so
Yep. Yeah. I liked how they kept his 29-year-old mind in an 11-year-old body, which we could also throw a couple of jokes at. Like the most obvious one, when he's starting to getting a couple feelings for Kaio, and he's like, "Chill, dude, you're 29 years old." Said it like 3 times. And laughed every time.
When he thinks that already said, he thinks out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I said
I love when he thinks out loud. What was your before I say mine, what was your guys' if it comes to the top of your head, what was your favorite accidental thought out loud moment?
I can't even pinpoint one. I can remember the one about kicking his ass, his mom. I can't really think of the other one.
It was the first one that he said to his mom out loud on accident, and I can't.
You talking about when they're sleeping in the bed?
Maybe.
Damn, that's the one I was gonna say.
Well, Lance, you remember it, so maybe you say it.
That was funny to me because it's when he brings Kaio home after the bus, and she spends the night, and mom's sleeping in between Kaio and Satoru. And then, like, the anime shows that, like, there's a little bit of tension in the air. Yeah. And then mom's like, am I in the middle? Like, am I disturbing you two? Or am I in the middle of something? And then Satoru's like, straight up, yeah, you are. And he's like, oops, did I say that out loud? And then she just clonks him in the head. And that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
That one was really good.
But speaking of that little scene again, remember we were talking about they took her in like their own daughter.
Yep.
Bro, they took a bath together. Like that's a stranger. Like that's a random kid. That's not your daughter. Taking a bath.
Treating her like a daughter, tickling her, making her smile, just making her feel welcomed and accepted.
Good for her.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
I mean, she doesn't get that motherly love at home, and so she's trying.
Bro. I'm just saying.
Kind of
just weird.
So pulling on your heartstrings, just watching when she sees like a real breakfast for the first time in her life.
Because eventually we would have ended up talking about what's one of our favorite scenes, and that is my favorite scene.
Really?
Dude, when
that does hit you.
When Kaio comes out into the kitchen and sees that Satoru's mom made that full, like to them it was a normal breakfast, but it was a full breakfast, and Kaio just sees it there, and then she has that flashback of where she has an instant cup of ramen with like 200 yen sitting there, and it's her mom essentially saying, fuck you, go fend for yourself, and then she just starts bawling because life is good outside her house. And
oh yeah, that was a strong moment.
Yeah, I thought that was an awesome scene. That was my favorite scene.
And so you guys know, 200 yen in 88 is about $3, like American.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I guess
that's like a pack of cigarettes back in the day.
But that's really not going to get you a whole lot wherever you're going.
$3 back then, it could have got you by. In 88, gas was probably like a quarter back then. So
I mean, I don't know about Japan, but
right. But still, like, that's probably enough to get you
a cup of ramen.
Breakfast. Yeah.
That was probably enough to get you a cup of ramen, and that was probably about it. So
yeah, it's definitely not going to be much.
So now we know Lance's favorite scene. Ricky, is yours the same, or do you have a different one?
I don't know, man. I guess I wasn't really prepared for that question. You go ahead, Matt, if you got one.
Honestly, I would say the last scene with Ari. Yeah, when he finally sees her again.
Accidentally runs into her. Okay.
So just because after he came back, I was like, okay, so are they ever going to reintroduce her? What's going on with, like, is that just going to be the end of it? Because you see throughout, especially when he gets older, that he's still thinking about her and all these other things. So I was like, all right. And then, so with Kaio being married and stuff, it's like, okay, well, that's not going to be a thing.
Right.
So it's like, how is he going to get his happy ending?
I have one qual with that.
Okay.
Back before he revived, back in the pizza parlor, do you guys remember how old Irie was?
She was 17.
Okay, so he revives 18 years ago, and then he's in a coma for 15 years.
Yeah.
So essentially, by the time today's world is back to normal, he's still essentially 3 years in the past, which makes Satoru 26, and which makes Irie 14. So at that moment, she's 14 and he's 26, which makes it a little bit even more creepier, and that's why I don't like that scene.
So I can make up for it because in the manga, it's actually 2 years in the future from when he goes back in time.
Okay, I was going to say, because there was a slight, because every once in a while, this anime shows a calendar quite often.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure in that last episode, if you were paying attention, not saying that I was, but I'm pretty sure I missed it, I'm pretty sure there was a time lapse anyway. So I was really hoping that there was a legit time lapse between when he got out of the coma and got rid of the teacher and then meeting Irie once again. Because in the Japanese world, 16 is legal, I'm pretty sure. Or is it 14? I think 14 is actually the legal one anyway. But anyway, it makes it a little bit more easier to swallow in America that she's at least a little bit older.
I will say, because it doesn't really give anything away, she is an adult. She does have a job.
Yep.
When they meet again. So that...
Do they say what kind of job she has? Is she still in the pizza place?
No, she's not in the pizza place.
Yeah, she was a photographer. Well, she was taking pictures. It doesn't really make her a professional photographer, but I thought she would still be working at the pizza place.
I'd imagine. Because you saw the boss.
Yeah, you see the boss at the end. I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to go check out the pizza place, see if she's working.
That's what I thought.
I think that was just a, hey, he's still doing this kind of thing.
Well, reflection. Yeah, you obviously understand that, Ben.
And then, So she was not working at the pizza place. She was graduated from high school, and so she was working at a photography place.
I wonder how anything in the past might have changed that future timeline then. Because I guess we don't get a direct explanation at that point, but...
Yeah. I didn't get an explanation. That's all I can tell you about that, especially without giving too much away. So, yeah, that scene was... I really liked it. I enjoyed it.
It was definitely a cute ending, that's for sure.
It was a good ending, kind of wrapping everything up.
So, if you're going to go, like, literally the very last scene of the anime... I'm gonna go with the second to very last scene. I did write it down. I just thought it was awesome how they did the last credits, like right before that scene.
Yeah,
they did the last credits and they showed you little bits and pieces of everybody's lives, how they grew up and what they're doing now. Pretty sure Yuki has a family. You know, you see that little glimpse. And
Yuki, the older kid.
Yeah, the older kid.
Yep, Yuki, June.
But you see a lot of the. Oh, hell.
I mean,
so he's married and has kids at the end.
So that was my favorite, just seeing all of their lives, how they progress.
I like when they do that in anime, like, there's kids, and then when you have that time lapse, you can still see, like, the childish features in their face, but they're obviously growing up. I like how they're able to do that. I think that's good animation there.
Yeah, you can still identify who they are.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, that's also exciting that Yuki, in one life, he was in prison forever on death row, and now here he is with a family, just like Kaio and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I just like seeing what happened to all of them. I'm pretty sure you'll get more details if you go back and just take your time and see everything.
Right. Really break down each individual episode.
I watched it twice only because Funimation replayed the episode. I was like, oh, maybe I missed an episode somewhere. So then I was starting to skip through it. I'm like, this got to be the end. So I just watched the ending again just to see if it was like the same episode with an alternative ending.
Oh,
okay.
And yeah, obviously that wasn't the case. So I noticed that as well. And then obviously they go through it in the manga.
All right. So I actually have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, what's up?
So now that we're obviously talking about it, everybody's seen it. You know, would you sacrifice 15 years of your life and live in that timeline, or just live in the timeline you do now with all the shit that happened? You know, at the expense of some kids that you barely knew dying at that point.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
15 years in a coma, bro.
15 years in a coma after you've already lived 18 years of it, only to find out that you succeeded in saving all three of those kids' lives. I think... And plus, like Satoru said, to him, he woke up one day, so he didn't miss a beat. Mm-hmm. And until he got his memory back, he only profited 3 years at that point. 15 to 18 years of revival minus the 15 years of coma. Mm. So he did what he was supposed to do, and he gained 3 years of his life back. I personally, if you're going to take it at the way I explained it, I think that's definitely worth it.
So one thing I will say is, I don't think he gained 3 years. I'm going to look into it more because I think he falls into a coma in 88 and wakes up in 2000.
Well, I know when the last scene they showed up at the school, it said 2010.
Oh, they also specifically said that he's been in a coma for 15 years.
Yeah, he wakes up when he's 25. So he must be turning 26 soon because that math didn't make sense.
Yeah, because they did show a calendar a couple times. Like I said, they showed a calendar quite often.
So it was 06.
Yeah.
It was when his original timeline was 06. So
16. I think they... Yeah. No, it was 06, wasn't it?
It was 06.
How's it 06?
06 minus 18 is 88.
18.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the show may have came out in 2016, but it takes place in 2006.
Yeah, yes. But the last scene is 2010.
Yeah, because they had gone into the future. Like, they had gone beyond into the future. Okay. Because,
yeah, so they're 4 years into the future now.
If that's the case, then yeah, then
he's...
Satoru and Kaio are adults.
Then he's 33.
Yeah, all of them are adults. Like, because you have to think, Kaio... No, or, excuse me.
You're talking about that one girl, the pizza girl.
Oh, yeah.
Irie, yeah. So
yeah, that's what I meant. Irie and Satoru are adults, so she's not 14. She's not 16. She's probably like
18, 19.
Right. Okay.
And he's like 33.
Yeah, he's 30. I think he's 30.
He was 29 in 2006.
Well, add 4 years, so yeah, he's 33.
Yeah.
I totally missed. I totally missed that 2010 marker. Wow, I think that's something that everyone should have been able to. That's a big talking point. Good thing you brought that up.
We've been drinking, bro. It's alright. It's alright.
Oh. Your memory gets better after drinking.
Well, I grew up on this stuff.
I grew up on.
But yeah, no, actually, not. But you put it in a good way, Lance. But then again, I think we just did the math wrong. If he gained 3 years or 4 years of his life.
Well, so I mean, not that I wasn't wrong. It's just at the moment of that episode, he did gain 3 years of his life. It's just that we didn't know that enough of a time lapse has happened since that 2010.
But yeah, marker. Either way, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say is basically the moment he wakes up is I want to say a year prior to 2006. I want to say he wakes up in 2005 the first time. So in the manga, he wakes up twice.
In the coma?
So he wakes up in his coma. Stuff happens. He falls back into a coma for a year and then wakes up. They skip through that. Like they just skip it in the anime.
Oh.
Like he just wakes up in the anime and that's the end of it. There's a couple things that happen, which I'll get into later on. And so basically he goes from being asleep for 15 years to waking up to falling back into a coma. So now he's at year 16. So technically he has lost part of his original timeline's life. He's lost a year at that point, if that makes sense.
So here's where I'm confused, because you're just fucking me up right now. Because I'm pretty decent at math. He woke up when he was 25. That's what they say in the anime.
Yep.
So we don't know what year that is unless we go back in time. He was in 2006. He was 29 from the beginning.
Yeah, he wakes up.
Episode 1.
He wakes up in 2003. 15 years. So that's 3 years.
Okay.
3 years later. This is according to like the chapter or the episode synopsis stuff. And then so he wakes up in 2003. Some time period happens. And then he falls back into a coma until, I want to say 2000, we'll just call it 2004. So what, he's 2 years behind at that point from the original timeline?
Oh boy.
I think we're too far into this. We should backpedal.
That's a lot of breakdown.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was all manga stuff though?
Yeah, that was manga stuff. So in the anime, he never falls back into a coma. In the manga, he does. Yeah. And like I said, I'll get way more into it because there's a lot that happens.
You guys want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a beer break.
Beer break?
You're itching for one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm itching for one. I finished mine.
All right, beer break. So now that we're back from our break, I would kind of like to talk about
corny ass. I'm just gonna call you out right now.
No, I did do that very much on purpose. Let's talk about the teacher Gaku Yashiro and what a fucking psycho he turned out to be.
Damn, bro. That dude.
I didn't think he was gonna be like a creepy ass psycho, but at the same time, you know, if he's a serial killer, something had to tick.
Something's loose up there.
So, like, I kind of more specifically wanted to talk about his spice experiment.
Okay.
With those rodents.
They're hamsters.
They were hamsters. I was going to say mice or hamsters. I couldn't quite remember. But I thought it was... I'm glad I wasn't watching that episode with, like iffy people. Watching that scene about, like, how to create, like, a murderer, basically. Like, this dude's drowning hamsters, and then he just so happens to find one hamster making his way to survive off of the drowning body of another hamster, so he kept that hamster. Like, things were getting a little deep as far as, you know, what happy-go-lucky anime goes, which shows that, you know, this has a little bit of a dark side, but still, I thought that was I don't want to say a fun angle. I can't come up with that.
Very subtle evil angle, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean,
I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's a realistic angle because there is
100%.
a very good majority of serial killers have a tendency to do not necessarily this, but things that are similar, where, you know, they kill animals at a young age.
Right. And feel nothing about it. In fact, happiness or joy.
Yeah, a lot of
Empowerment.
enjoyment. Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff. So yeah, so that was pretty freaking creepy.
Yeah.
It was elegant the way they presented it, though. Like, not really elegant. Probably not the best word.
We're trying not to artsy him doing
like, I love
he
this
did.
murderer. But yeah, that was a crazy way to present it.
Oh yeah.
Now that we're speaking about him, I kind of want to go back to his first abduction. That would have been
Like his first legit Kaio?
Kaio. That would have been Kaio.
Yeah.
So we see a scene where he goes into the bus because he's pissed off that he can't kill her because he wasn't there,
Yes.
and he kicks the box. Right?
Yeah.
He kicks the box.
Yeah, he did kick the box, and he had the indentation for Satoru to notice.
Yeah.
We need to teach you to pour.
Yeah.
Hey
Lance.
This pour was fucking legit until you get to like the last quarter, and then
That matters. It all matters.
So just so everybody knows what we're talking about, Lance can't pour a beer. There is too much thing is too much head.
yeah, I got like an inch and a half ahead.
But anyway, sorry.
I've seen worse.
Sorry, Ricky. Keep going.
But yeah, when he kicks the box, later on you come to find out that in the backpack that he threw was all the kidnapping equipment. Yep. But in the box, did you guys catch on what's in the box?
Yeah, the stove and like coal or something like
the charcoal.
The charcoal. Like he wanted to smoke someone out.
Yep.
Oh, he wanted to smoke someone out?
That's what Satoru was thinking.
I thought, honestly,
he was making connections that weren't necessarily there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it makes sense, because, well, why would you have...
I thought he was going to try to eat her. Alright.
I mean, yeah.
Because they never addressed it.
Right, a girl goes missing.
So remember...
They don't necessarily have to find the body.
So remember the second kidnapping murder. Do you remember how she died?
No.
Carbon monoxide.
Oh.
From basically a homemade heater. So it was... That's what it was. So that was
okay. Well, I'm glad you picked up on
that was his backup plan, was to abduct the girl from that school and then kill her, I guess, initially, instead of getting Kaio right away. Because remember, he talks about essentially having a backup plan for all of it, because just in case.
Right. Mm-hmm. On the same concept of a backup plan, when I first watched this and he was, freaking out in that bus, I thought that was all a stage, because I thought maybe that guy the teacher knew that Kaio was in that bus, and he was doing some kind of stupid scene for whatever reason. Because he knew she was in there, he was going to smoke her out. That's where I thought that was going to go originally.
Makes sense. Would make sense to do, though.
Right.
Especially because if she had stayed there longer.
Right, and that's why I thought that is why Satoru thought, I know it's a mouthful, that he had to get Kaio out of that bus and bring her home. So I thought we were on the same page, but apparently that was for his next killer. So
yeah,
now that we know this part. So that's just where my mind went.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that creeped the shit out. Like, I pictured myself being Kaio, like being in that bus, and just having a random grown-ass man walk into it.
Throw a temper tantrum.
Like, that's
out of the blue.
Out of me.
Dude, and the fact that was one of the last things she brought up in that conversation after all the kids showed up and like hung out with her that day.
Yep.
And then she's like, oh yeah, by the way, a man showed up and while I was trying to sleep. Things like that. Why wait? These things are obviously important. Why aren't these like the first like things that you would impulsively like, help me? I'm not safe here.
Because she's 11?
Still, she's not safe. I mean, she knows what not feeling safe is like, but like that's even creepier.
Yeah.
That's even more.
No. But I think
my bad.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's part of the issue that she has, is that all the time she doesn't feel safe.
Right. Yeah, so she's probably, it's nothing out of the ordinary for her.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, were you guys okay with the idea, a part of the story, that she just stayed in the bus even though he left, that the teacher left?
I was after he left?
Yeah. Like, wouldn't you think, maybe he's coming back?
For the rest of that night, I bought it. But if it were to have continued an additional day, then I would have had an issue with it. But I'm pretty sure it was resolved the very next day.
Yeah, I think if anything would have happened, it would have happened immediately, not after
but
he
to be
walked
fair,
away.
If I was Kaio, I would have
ran
bus.
out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
As
soon as that dude left, I would have left.
Because she acknowledged that she saw the bag he threw. She never looked inside of it.
Yeah.
But she saw he threw a bag.
Yeah, someone came.
He's going to come back for the fucking bag.
Exactly.
It might not be tonight. You don't know if it's tonight.
Right.
I would have thought, like, get the fuck out of there, run. But whatever.
This makes me think of the mindsets of an adult. I don't know about you guys, but this entire series, I was asking myself, why doesn't Satoru tell his mom that he's actually a 29-year-old man traveled back in time trying to solve a murder that happens that he knows about? Like, I know that would totally ruin some of the time frame or some of the tension and
Anime logic.
I know, anime logic. It's just what it always boils down to is anime logic. But, like, he knows this stuff, and he doesn't confine in anybody. He takes it all upon himself.
He does confine in Kenya.
Ish. But he doesn't tell Kenya that he's a 29-year-old man. He tells him that he suspects a kidnapping.
Yeah. That's
as far as that goes.
So in the manga, you find out that he actually tells Kenya everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I told you that's why I like Kenya, boy.
So he explains to Kenya what happens and how he knows, which is why Kenya more or less believes him.
Right.
But I don't know if Kenya actually believed that he, actually believed that he came from the future and was trying to basically solve the murders.
Right.
And was just playing along kind of thing. That they don't explain. But they do explain that Satoru does explain it to Kenya.
Okay.
And you don't find that out until, the very end.
Oh, okay. So you're not reading as if you already knew that he knows?
Yeah, you find that out. So when Satoru is reading that story after he wakes up, that's when you find out. So basically after he wakes up from the coma is when you find out that Kenya knew. So it's still very much later in basically the end of the series when you find that out.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Just looking at a little bit of my notes, jumping back, I wrote down that the calendar, back when after the 15-year coma, calendar says 2003, July 15th. In the anime, that's when he woke up.
Was January 15th?
July 15th.
July 15th of 2003?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the day, month, and year is different than what we do, but I knew how to separate it. Also in that same episode, Kaio had a baby, and she was married, and she named her baby Mirai, which means future.
Yep.
I mean, they explained that.
Who was she married to? I forgot.
One of the other friends.
So
I did write that one down.
Who was it?
It was the
Glasses?
kid that looked like a girl.
Oh.
The other one that was supposed to get murdered.
Hamori, I think that's what his name was.
Hirori?
Hiyori. Yeah, Hiyori.
Okay.
Herori, I think is what it is.
Something like that. I just remembered it was very close to Hero.
Yep. Let's see.
But yeah, they ended up having a kid. And I know a lot of people are going to be heartbroken that, Satoru and Kaio didn't end up together in the end.
Mm.
But I mean, there was a 15-year gap of him being bedridden, her being alive and experiencing life, and having a group selfish. But she had a group of friends to lean on for something new, and you can't really blame them. Which makes it more appropriate for an ending series that Satoru and Airi end up meeting once again for the first time in this timeline.
Yeah, they can really go anywhere with that, man. I know this anime came out in 2016, but who's to say they can, revive it with a season 2? Or
revive it.
Is there a season 2 coming? I don't even know. I didn't do no research.
No, I didn't. I just assumed that this was just a clean end. But at the same time, they could definitely make something. They can even make an apprentice, some other random person could have the revival abilities, run into Satoru and ask for tips and stuff like that, and then Satoru gets involved.
Honestly, I think it's okay that it
is definitely okay.
Yep. One thing I do want to question is, what do you guys think of him just falling into a coma for them to do their time skip? So them to go 15 years into the future from the moment that essentially nobody dies.
Yeah.
What do you think of that version of a time skip?
I mean, I bought it. I don't know anything about the science behind comas and how you get one and whatnot. I mean, he went brain dead after drowning in ice cold water for a little bit.
Yeah, seemed brain dead.
I mean, well, that's kind of what a coma is.
Yeah, he was in a vegetative state, so he was brain dead, essentially.
Well, you can't really say fully brain dead, because once you're brain dead, you're not coming back from that. Yeah,
well,
he was in a coma state. He was in a coma.
But that's why it was a miracle. It was a miracle that he came back to life, because he was technically dead for that. So in the manga, they explain it a little bit better. So basically, he was in a vegetative state for 13 years, and then basically started becoming into a deep sleep state where he wouldn't wake up, but he was still in a coma, but he started having brain function and all these other things.
Ooh, you know what?
After 13 years.
Now that you brought this up for like the third time, now I happen to remember that there was a moment in the anime that Satoru's mom was given like this device that was able to monitor brain function. And they did make mention that there was brain activity, that he was still, alive and getting better, at least.
That wasn't until 13 years later.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did make just the tiniest little mention, but of course in the anime nothing mattered until the 15th year had gone by.
Yeah. So you guys were perfectly fine with that. Was the way they decided to do essentially a time skip, which he fell into a coma.
Yeah, I accepted it.
Okay,
it's cool. I mean, I don't have any further knowledge on anything stuff to argue anything otherwise, so. You are disappointed he didn't just live a new life afterwards? That would have been freaking sweet. I think there would have been I think there would have definitely been a lot more story to add if he would have lived those additional 15 years.
Yeah. And then it took him 15, 18 years, whatever you want to say, to find whoever was the original, or whoever was going to be the original killer. So say that ice rink scene never happens, and the teacher never tries to kill him, so then he never finds out who it is. And then
in the ice, by the way, there's 2 ice rink scenes, but the one that you're talking about specifically is the one where
the hockey rink one.
The actual hockey rink where the teacher slips.
Yep.
That bitchy ass student, the laxatives.
Yep.
We didn't even talk about her.
She was, I don't know. They kind of just flew by her. Like,
they did. But, totally get it. We can't put it, I can't put a name. I didn't write her name down.
She was a means to an end, so she was kind of a non-important person.
Right. But at the same time, she eventually became semi-important towards that part where Satoru got caught. But for our listeners, the girl we're talking about is that girl who framed Kaio to be stealing that money for some kind of funding.
For the school lunches.
Yeah. And then Satoru was like, no, Kaio would never steal the money. You placed it there. And then after Satoru fought her on that, all of a sudden she became a super quiet girl, kept to herself, after she got called out on being a mega bitch.
Feelings hurt there, Lance.
Oh, my feelings aren't hurt. I was totally on Satoru's side. I got worked up about that. I'm like, she's fucking framing her. I got pissed off for him.
So I think her name is Misto. Mistao. Misato. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, we'll go with her.
We'll go with that for now.
Misato is her name, and it was like I said, she was just kind of a means to an end because the teacher only used her to get to Satoru.
Right.
So
I mean, it all worked out into his plan.
Yep. And then Ricky, you had said that you were perfectly fine with the time skip.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Matt?
I really didn't have any qualms about it. I thought it was an interesting way to be able to get to the future without having to do any pseudo filler, or like I had mentioned where he didn't kill anybody, so now he needs to find, without making extra things where you can just kind of go through the story as you wanted it to be.
Right.
And because I feel like you would have had to put Kaio and Satoru together if he hadn't gone into a coma.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And plus, it just gives that little bit of drama.
Yeah.
I feel like, this girl that he was trying to protect for the longest time ends up with someone else. So, makes your mind pull in different directions all the time.
Yep. So, do you guys have any other questions?
I guess it's a little fun one. Which would you rather have? Back in time between 1 and 5 minutes or 1 and 5 years? You don't get to choose. It just happens like the revival.
Don't get to choose?
It happens to Satoru.
Okay, me personally, at my point in my life, everything is going just how I want it to go. I am super happy with the way that my life is, so I would not change things years in the past. So at this moment, if I can go back and change tweaks minutes ago, that would probably be the best thing I can take.
No, I'm talking about for one instant, one revival. 1 or 5 years or 1 or 5 minutes. You don't get this every other day, every other week.
I would still choose the same thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to go into the past to change the future because where I am in the present, I am happy. So personally, right now, and I know that might be what's the word I went for? Thinking high of myself.
No, you're alright.
Just at the moment,
arrogant, not arrogant.
No, you're alright. I get it.
I mean, like bloating. I don't want to bloat. Like, okay,
Gloating, you know.
I don't want to gloat too much.
Yeah.
But I am very happy with where I am.
That's not gloating. It's just being happy.
Yeah. So I wouldn't want to change anything in the past, but maybe a segment or two that happened just a moment ago. That's a different story. So yeah, I would go minutes. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I definitely couldn't go years. There's so much stuff that's happened in the past. So if we go on the drastic end, 5 years, man, I would definitely not want to go back 5 years ago. Because like Lance was saying, there's a lot of stuff that's happened from 5 years ago to now that I wouldn't want to change.
Good and bad. Like,
Yep.
good and bad stuff make you who you are today. That's the way I pull it in.
Yep. What about you?
I picked the 1 in 5 minutes. And actually, I like that, Lance, because I say that too. Like, you never want to regret anything you did, because at that moment in time, that's what you wanted.
Right. Oh, yeah, there's that too. Like, you did what you did because that's what you wanted at the moment.
Yep. That's what I always say.
And that's who you are today, and you know better, and that makes you a better person.
Mm.
That's why people say, don't regret your past, learn from it, and stuff like that. And, I don't know, maybe 30 years old, but talking like I'm 60.
Drink another beer, fool.
Hell yeah.
Now, if this was 5 years ago and you were asking if I would change minutes to years, that might be a different story, but...
I agree.
See, but here's the thing, too. I never said you had to change anything. You can just go back in the past and just live.
Boy, here's the thing. If you change... Okay, it's the butterfly effect. If you change... What was I say? Even if you kill this tiniest little ant, that's going to change the whole trajectory of the future.
Could potentially, yeah.
But we're talking anime logic.
Anime logic.
Yeah, anime logic.
So
right.
he could keep going back until he fixed what he fucked up, so...
Right?
There you go.
Like, if it were to have given me an option to choose something a little less significant, not so life-changing, then of course. But, like, if it would have meant the difference between me being who I am today versus... I mean...
Yeah, you're thinking way too
hard. I am thinking hard about this because, I mean, Satoru went from an aspiring mangaka working at a pizza shop to now a very successful mangaka. Like, obviously, that's good for him. I mean, he went from the lower end to an upper end, but...
But that was all because he unlocked his emotions.
That's true. But the point of the matter is, I am so happy with myself right now, so it's hard to say that I would change anything.
Emily's a lucky girl.
I'm a lucky man.
No. Yeah, I definitely back you up on that one. I actually did write down the butterfly effect as well.
Yeah, exactly. Butterfly effect has everything to do with going into the past and trying to change something.
Overall, how'd you like this anime, man?
I enjoyed it. It was different. I don't really watch too many suspenseful ones. I will say it probably took me a couple episodes to really get into it. Because, I mean, that's not really something I watch in general, or suspenseful. I knew it was good. I knew a lot of people said it was really good. I'm glad I pushed through the first couple episodes to get through it, because I enjoyed the journey, is the best way I can say it.
I agree.
Through this anime.
It did take me like an episode or two to get into this, because like, dude, this is so different.
There's
like,
no superpowers.
Yeah.
Like there's that drop of superpowers into this, but it's just so different from what we're used to watching.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that being said, that doesn't mean that this was. I loved this anime. It was great. I would recommend this to literally anybody. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes real quick. Can I put a star next to the killer? Keeps reminding me of Kibutsuji from Demon Slayer. Every time
the red eyes?
The red eyes, yes. Every time there was that slick little sliver of his red eyes, I was like, that's fucking Kibutsuji right there. Sorry, just had to throw that in there.
What about you, Ricky? Since you're the new anime watcher, at least compared to the two of us, what'd you think?
Oh man, it was great. This anime was fucking amazing. Like I fell in love with it right away. I like the mystery behind it.
Yep.
And like I said, I recommend it to my wife because I think she'll like this, and she doesn't watch anime.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can even get my fiance into this.
Yeah, this is a good one. But to be honest, it scared me a little bit. Just because the whole kidnapping. Like, it really...
The realisticness of
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, it's just, this shit could fucking happen. And just like it happened. So, it was cool. Great, fun to watch, but as a parent, you're like thinking in the back of your head, like, fuck, where are my kids at right now?
Gotta text them, I love you.
My child's 3. She doesn't even know what any of those words say.
She just wants to make sure you're holding a hot bowl with 2 hands. Yeah, your daughter was cute.
Yeah, she's great.
About ready to get in some mass manga mentions?
Yeah, we can get there.
Oh,
Unless we got any...
one little shout out. Do you guys remember his anime that got the green light?
Say it again.
Galactica Sword 7 Heroes. That's what it was called.
Sorry, I don't remember that.
Nope.
That's just a little funny tidbit. I like how they kept on bringing up the manga and the anime, just like obviously.
Yeah, you got the green light to make his manga into an anime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. Show that he was progressing in life.
Yeah, a little tidbit. Other than that, let's get into Matt's manga mentions. Matt, what do you got?
NANI?!
I will say the anime did a good job in the beginning, staying true to the manga. There was just a few things that they had either made mention of or something that had changed. So in the manga, they talk about how Kaio's mom is throwing away a bunch of stuff, and he notices the mittens.
Yep.
Well, in the manga, she's actually throwing away her clothes, like her stuff.
Yes, in the anime, that's what I thought at first too. Was that that the mom was throwing away all of Kaio's clothes, and they put an emphasis on the mittens.
Yep.
I thought nothing of it. I thought that she was throwing away the mittens that Satoru gave to Kaio. But later, a couple episodes later, we learned that those exact mittens were the mittens that Kaio was making for Satoru.
Yep.
Obviously, probably everyone learns that as they watch the series, but I didn't think twice about it at the moment.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of messed up. But yeah, she was throwing away all of her stuff.
Yeah, like everything. Yeah.
Yep. And so that's why Satoru's reaction was so devastated. Because you're throwing away a pair of mittens, but he didn't know what those were actually for.
Right.
So that's what that was.
I thought they were throwing away her body at first. And then everybody's so distracted with some other shit.
Yeah, I kind of thought something similar too, because then you get
Yes.
that one cutscene, or the one scene where you see her body.
Chuck it. Just chuck the garbage bag. But
Yeah.
that scene where the mom and the dad were sitting in front of dead Kaio's body, like.
So that wasn't Kaio's dad. That was Mom's boyfriend. Yeah.
That's probably safer to assume. Not that they ever made mention, but there was just that dude that was always there-ish.
Yep. And then another thing that happens is you find out that Yuki was the reason that Satoru made his friends. So you just kind of, in the anime, they just kind of talk about how Satoru figures out that he kind of just needs to fake everything until they become friends. And Yuki's the one that helps Satoru understand that in order to become friends with people, these are the things you need to do.
Yeah.
So
he was giving out weird tips.
Yeah, on how to make friends.
Right.
And one thing is you find out that Yuki or Jun is, I don't know, I don't remember if they ever actually mention his name. I think they always call him Yuki in the anime.
They did explain why they called him Yuki, because he kept saying, like, I think I might be picking this up from the Netflix adaptation from the 2 episodes that I watched that might be confusing me, but they said that Satoru called him Yuki because he always said Yuki, which meant, oh crap, Yuki actually means something.
I want to say it means hope.
Hope, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it means hope. And so that's why they call him Yuki, but his real name is Jun, and he's 23 at the time that he's arrested.
Yep. Oh, yeah, this character sheet I have is Jun Shitori.
Yep.
Yeah.
So one thing that happens before the revival is Satoru and Kataguri are not Kataguri, but Airi
Yeah.
are together, and they actually save some kids from an abandoned building, which is similar to the hideout that Satoru has as a kid. And they save some kids from an elevator shaft. Like one of the kids falls through an elevator shaft and they save them.
Is this another revival thing?
No, it was just something that he had noticed that there was some like bags at the door because he was trying to hide because he was running from the police at the time.
Right.
And just noticed that, hey, there's some bags there, but there's nothing, like there's no kids around. So they go and basically investigate what's going on. So one thing in the anime they make mention of, or don't really make mention of it, but they show it, is that you see the political person's pin. So the manager for the pizza place, you see that guy that he's talking to. The pin is a symbol of basically respect / power. So only high-ranking officials have pins, will wear pins like that. So like lawyers, politicians, business owners will wear pins to show that they are of importance, essentially. So that's what when you see the manager talking to that guy, and then it just kind of just show his torso and you see the pin, that's the purpose of it, is to show that guy's actually super important.
Oh.
And that's
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
it's in the very beginning. I want to say it's episode 2 or 1, something like that.
Oh.
I watched the first episode a few times, like the first couple episodes a few times. So just something I had noticed.
How would that play out in the anime at all? Why would that even matter?
It's one of those references that if you know it, that's why they did it. Like that makes sense why they did that. If you don't know, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, they're just not showing the guy's face.
Okay.
So that's all that is. And
so it reminds me of Cow and Chicken. Remember that show?
Cow and Chicken. Oh my god. How they never show the adults' faces.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that.
Oh, it's like that, man. It's fucking like that.
And that's the way it is.
One thing that happens that is different is instead of swearing when Yuki gets excited, he just has an accent instead. It's kind of weird.
An accent?
Yeah, he has an accent instead.
Like all of a sudden he turns Australian or what?
No, he's a cowboy.
I mean, same concept, but not quite. They just Satoru just mentions that he has an accent when he gets excited.
Okay, I think they might have touched on that. I know he had that stutter in the anime. I don't know if they touched on that in the manga, but like I know that he was just
nervous. That was a nervous stutter. Yeah, this was so instead of him swearing when he gets all excited for Satoru making friends.
Yeah,
he just has like an accent comes out.
Yeah, because he only swore once.
Yeah,
he's like, "God damn, that's awesome," or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And he made a thing about that. Like, oops, I shouldn't have.
No,
been that.
That's his first. That Satoru says in his mind.
Like, that's the first time he's ever sworn. Yeah. Right.
So instead of swearing, he makes a mention how he gets excited or he has an accent when he gets excited. Like that's his thought process.
That's awesome, y'all.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah.
So when Satoru is going to push Kaio's mom down the stairs.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that scene.
In the manga, he actually makes like this makeshift stun gun.
Really?
Yeah. And he's going to use that instead. Well, he's going to use that to make her go down the stairs.
Right.
But he still gets stopped by Kenya. But it's just he's using a stun gun instead of a...
That's way more diabolical.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see... Satoru's mom. What's her name?
Sachiko.
You see her making plans with the teacher for 7 o'clock, which is why he shows up after everything happens instead of just like randomly showing up.
Wait, which time?
So when Kaio is home, or Kaio is at Satoru's house, you see that Sachiko is on the phone and
to make the invasion at the house. Yeah. Before everybody shows up and takes the child away.
Yeah, so
we didn't even talk about that stupid ass scene where the mom Akemi Kaio's mom.
Yeah.
And her mom shows up and apologizes on the floor, like, I'm sorry I screwed up your life. And then the mom cries on her shoulder, and everyone's like, this doesn't faze me 1 millimeter.
Senku!
I am Senku! Sorry.
So,
Anyway, no, hold on. What about that scene?
so, well, yeah.
What my terms? Like,
Yeah, you brought it up.
Yeah,
What
like-
are you gonna...
oh, sorry. Like, that bitch. Like, seriously.
And that's
to
the
me-
first time he swore around.
Like, 90% of me wanted to be like, that's all an act. That's all the mom needed to do in front of other people to show that she knew she messed up and now she can get away with it, or she can get, like, the least penalty out of it. That's just where I went.
It didn't change anything.
Right. And yeah, she still lost the child.
Yeah. And then the grandmother gets the child.
Right.
So that she can graduate from the school. So the grandmother actually, because I know they make mention of it, how they don't know if it's a good idea. So the grandmother does get Kaio back
Yeah.
in order for her to graduate.
Right.
So then you see a part after school where Satoru and Kaio go visit that hill where that tree was, where they see all the lights.
The Christmas tree.
Or, yeah, the pseudo Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So they go back there, and Kaio actually calls Satoru her hero and thanks him for saving her.
That's nice.
Appreciate it. Give me a card next time.
Well, you already got gloves, so.
Send me a text next time.
They didn't have cell phones in the 80s.
That's 88.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was when she was like...
No, this was back
Okay.
after they kind of kidnapped her and all that stuff. So then, after that happens, they go back to Satoru's house, and that's the first time he officially meets Sawada. So the other investigator guy. So that news reporter investigator guy.
Oh, mom's partner?
Yeah. So that's the first time Satoru officially meets him.
As a child?
As a child, yeah.
Okay.
I
And
thought he was going to be more important to the story.
I thought so a little bit too.
so he kind of is, and I can go into it a little bit more once I go. Because right now I'm trying to go through like the timeline of when
Right.
things change.
Okay.
They have a conversation, and he starts talking about. So he knew Satoru's mom when they were in school, and says that his mom would solve crimes in middle school. So basically did what Satoru did in middle school, and then was kind of a badass in middle school.
That's cool.
Also, you find out that his mom never finished high school.
Oh.
So she never graduated high school. To Satoru into the car, Yashiro, who's the teacher, I don't remember his first name, because of course I'm reading Gaku. I'm reading everything.
It's always Mr. Yashiro.
Yeah. Asks help to get some stuff into the vehicle instead of Satoru being like, hey, we need to go follow that car. Yashiro is just like, hey, I need some help. And they just happen to see the car again, kind of things.
Okay. So a little difference on that point. That's
Yep.
okay.
One thing that happened, a lot of things at the end of the story are different than in the manga than what happens in the anime, just because they skip through timelines. They basically condense everything to make it into a 12 episode season instead of like a 14 episode season. So
Okay.
It's just one of those things. Yashiro mentions it's as if Satoru has seen the future and can come back, which is why he was so interested in him instead of in the anime when Satoru is drowning, he says he knows his future.
Right.
Like that sentence never actually happens.
Okay. Yeah, I was always a little iffy on that one. Like, yeah, I know your future, but he only knows up to that moment of what he was supposed to do.
And then he says, he does tell him I know his future, but he says it in the car. He doesn't say it he says it in the car when they're driving,
Right.
not when he's drowning.
Okay.
They go into the background. They go really deep into the background of Yashiro. So he started luring the elementary school girls in for his brother, because he had an older brother and a younger sister, and his older brother would abuse him, and in order for his older brother not to abuse him, he learned that if he lured these girls, he would stop abusing him.
Okay.
So it's kind of super fucked up. And then his brother eventually ended up killing one of the girls, and they hid the body, and Yashiro ended up killing his older brother and framed his brother into, well, not really framed his brother into the murder, but made it look like only him had committed any crimes. So then 8 years later, he had went to college to become a teacher, and he went to training back into his hometown, which I think they called it like City C or something along those lines. And that is when so he hadn't done anything from that moment forward, as far as like he had never actually killed anybody, and then he had never killed another person. So then when he went back to school, he had his urge to kill came back. And in the manga, they mention a flashback that Satoru had where he meets this girl and he calls to her in this building and she comes out, and that is the first time that Yashiro attempted to kill a kid. So Satoru stopped his first kill of a child as an adult, which is kind of a ironic coincidence.
Okay.
And that led to him changing his preparations into killing these kids, because that was his only plan, was to kill this one girl, and it got stopped. So now he basically made a bunch of contingency plans in case something had happened. So he eventually gets engaged to a psychologist who majored in family and early childhood psychology. So, a bad person for somebody who's trying to kill children. And there was this kid that disappeared that he had killed, and she had started questioning him, and eventually he ended up killing her as well. So that's why he makes a mention of a failed relationship in the anime when he's talking to Satoru.
When the mother in the back seat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's the failed relationship that he's talking about.
Interesting.
Oh, nice connection. That's cool.
That'd have been nice to throw in there.
Yeah, while we're on him still, did you guys understand like that thread theory? Where they see that little white thread on top of their head?
So the thread was the Spice story. So the Spice story is that this guy in hell basically doesn't kill the spider, so the spider gives him a thread to go to heaven, or to come out of hell. I want to say it's to go to heaven, but I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe back to the human realm.
Maybe another life. I'm not entirely sure, but it's to come out of hell. And this guy, as he's climbing the thread, notices that other people in hell are trying to also climb the thread, so he starts kicking them in order to prevent anybody else from being able to come back or to escape hell. And eventually, or because of those actions, the thread gets severed. So
because I remember a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's what the thread is about. Is he says that he now sees the thread on anybody that needs to die, which a great psychopathic line to make use of your killing instincts. He made his fiance's death look like a suicide as well, so that's how he got out of that one. I think I'd mentioned this, so Satoru never yelled out of the car, like at all. He just instantly started drowning, and there was a veterinarian that was passing by that ended up saving Satoru out of the drowning car. So I know in the anime they just kind of go from him being drowning to coma, and you're just kind of like, yeah. So I had initially thought that Yashihiro, the teacher, basically had a second thought and changed his mind into killing Satoru. Like, that was my initial thought
too. Yep.
So did you have any explanation on how Satoru went from drowning to being in a coma, or did you just kind of be like, oh?
No, I accepted.
Okay.
What it was.
So the doctors hypothesize that he survived because he basically went into hypothermia before he could die and fell asleep. Like, went into a hypothermic sleep, and that's why he survived. So almost kind of like a cryostasis kind of.
Yep.
Um,
It's kind of funny to say this because I was just listening to a science podcast about how this one dude's wife went into a very similar state where she was basically clinically dead, but because of the circumstances they were in with the cold, they were able to revive her, and she's better than ever. So I can see where this would come into play.
Damn. So that was basically kind of a similar situation. I had mentioned that he was asleep for 13 years, and then, he was in a coma, a vegetative state of a coma for 13 years, and then he started getting brain activity for 2 more years. In the anime, he sees Yashiro, and that was what helped bring his memories back. So when he was in the garden area of the hospital and the paparazzi come, so instead of Yashiro being the one that stops the paparazzi, it's actually Irie. Yeah, Irie. Sorry.
Oh, so Irie did come visit him and...
So Irie was meeting somebody else in the hospital and just happened to be there at the same time.
Oh, so memories of Irie started coming back.
Well, so not quite. So Irie was the person who destroyed the camera and all those other things. And then when Satoru saw her, he didn't really get his memories back, but he knew that she was somebody so he had talked about he needed a key to unlocking all of his memories.
Yep.
And Yashiro was the one, essentially he said that Yashiro was the one that brought all of his memories back. Well, instead, in the manga, they talk about how he believes she is the person that is needed to unlocking his memories, not that she unlocks his memories. So he still doesn't have his memories back when he sees her. He just kind of gets these glimpses of things and is like...
Right, like, 'cause in the anime, things were starting to get, like, unfuzzy.
Yeah.
When they were looking at, like, essentially photos of people.
You guys want another beer?
Yeah.
I'll take one more. Take another quick break.
So then, after Satoru sees Ari / meets him, he falls asleep in that coma for a year, which I had mentioned already previously. Yashiro makes sure that the equipment that's getting donated for hospitals goes to Satoru's hospital. So he knows which hospital Satoru's at and getting all this treatment and all these other things. And he makes sure that basically Satoru is getting the best equipment in the area because he is a politician. So he does have influence in the area on where money is going for things.
Right. And he's already a news focal point after he wakes up. So, I mean, that was one point to make sure that he gets what he wants. But at the same time, I guess I wanted to start this why I blurted because I thought it was super ass creepy that Yashiro was visiting, shaving his face and stuff like that, like personal.
Yeah, that never happens.
That
In the manga, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that was creepy. At first, I'm like, did he slit his throat? Because he had that bandage around his neck.
Right.
And then the rehabilitation center that he's working in is actually named after the city council. It's just named after the city council, but obviously Yashiro is the head of the city council.
But it's not named after Yashiro?
No, it's not named after Yashiro. It's
Okay.
just named after the city council of the city. And then at that point, that's when things really start veering off from the anime. So in the anime, Yashiro attempts to kill Satoru at the top of the building, and then he pseudo falls off into basically all of his friends that are there to make sure that he doesn't die.
Air bungee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Then also one thing that doesn't happen is he doesn't attempt to kill Kumi.
The cancer child?
Yeah. Well, she had leukemia.
Cancer.
Yeah. Yes, the cancer child.
Oh, I don't think they said that she had leukemia in the anime.
I
don't remember that.
So she gets bone marrow transplant,
Yeah,
which
they did mention that.
you get that for leukemia.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's also a common practice. But
yeah.
A little funny tidbit about that. I was just watching that episode, and it's funny because like you know how the teacher threatens him like if you don't tell me she's gonna die because I put a muscle relaxer in her shit.
Yeah.
And they just kind of blow it off. And like once everything's over, they arrest the teacher. You hear the kids talking a little bit like, "Oh, how's Yumi or whatever her name is? Oh, she's okay." And that's it. Like they never explain how they stopped the medicine from going into her.
Oh yeah, because as far as we know, that what do you call it?
The IV. Yeah,
that IV was literally about to go into her, like in the moment that they were talking about, like that was happening as they were talking.
But that's it.
That's the way I took it.
Yeah, he said it was already too late. Basically, he was like, "Yeah, it's too late. You can't save her."
But if you catch like the little dialogue, because I was listening for it, I'm like, whatever happened to this bitch? My bad. But yeah, if you catch this, it's like you hear the kids like as they're arresting the teacher. Oh, how's Yumi? Yep. Oh, she's all right, and that's it.
It's Kumi.
Kumi.
K-U-M-I.
Oh, Kumi. Oh, she's okay, and that's it.
So that doesn't happen. She successfully gets her bone marrow transplant and gets better. So what happens after that is Satoru keeps rehabilitating, gets mostly better. He starts getting crutches to go around town because essentially he's looking for Airi to help fully bring his memories back. He's kind of got him back, but she is the key to like fully unlocking his memories.
Okay.
And doesn't run into her. And there's this fireworks / camping thing for kids at the hospital and people in the rehabilitation center. So they're getting better post-surgery stuff, but they're not actually admitted in the hospital. And Kumi's there, and Satoru's there, and a bunch of other kids. But then this is when Yashiro's plan to kill Satoru comes into place. Basically, a bunch of things happen. He drugs Kumi in, and she goes into a boat that starts drowning. Satoru meets up with Yashiro on a bridge and explains essentially everything that happens, explain how he knows what's going to happen, and Yashiro attempts to kill both himself and Satoru on the bridge because he foils the plans and all these other things. And so because of that, he essentially tries to kill both of them instead of just framing Satoru into killing Kumi. And
wow, that's completely different.
Yeah, it's real different. So then not all of his friends, but his friends and his mom saving both Kumi and himself does happen. Like that does happen, but it's just in a different situation.
Right.
So they're over the bridge kind of explodes, and instead of both of them drowning, because of all these other things that happen, because of the bridge exploding, they both get saved, and then Yashiro gets arrested in the attempted murder of both Kumi and Satoru. And after he gets arrested, he confesses to the killings of 30 people. So he killed 30 people essentially in his lifetime.
Like pre-Kaio?
Pre and post-Kaio.
Well, because in the
anime,
he
didn't do anything.
He mentioned that he had a clean slate between Satoru and the entire Como period. He said that he was squeaky clean.
Yeah, he doesn't really... Well, yeah, because he talks about how basically once Satoru dies, his desire to kill anybody had gone away. That doesn't happen in the manga. He just talks about how he had killed 30 people in his lifetime.
Okay.
He lying.
You're a liar.
You're a liar.
And then after that happens, the Satoru becomes the mangaka, and some time period happens, and it is 2012 when Satoru finally runs into Airi.
Irie.
Irie.
Okay, so that's even a little bit later than what the anime was showing.
Yeah.
2010 then.
Yeah, so it's 2012 when he finally runs into her. The scenario is kind of the same, but he is sitting under the bridge because it's snowing and he's just trying to get out of the snow for a little bit, and then she kind of gets caught in the snow, and so she goes to run underneath the bridge.
Okay.
And so they just kind of fate intervenes, and so they run into each other. And that's how. So the whole them running into each other again underneath the bridge does happen, but just he doesn't follow this butterfly and then see her kind of thing. Like he just notices that some person's running towards him, and then he notices who it is.
Small details, but
yeah. So that happens at the end of chapter 44. The manga is over on chapter 49. So the last couple chapters are a little bit of storytelling on what happens after Satoru goes into a coma. They go into a little bit of Kaio's story. They go into a little bit of his mother's story, and then they go into a lot of Kenya's story of what happens after Satoru falls into a coma.
Are you gonna brief over these, or are these
yeah
worth talking about?
Kaya's. So, like, for her, she goes to the hospital all the time. And then when his mom and Satoru get out of the hospital and go to that apartment to stay in, his mom doesn't actually tell Kaio where she's going. She's just gone because she believes that they are holding Kaio back from basically moving on, kind of thing. Like, she's not enjoying her life. She's not living her life because she spends all of her time at the hospital with Satoru and his mom. Like, she ends up calling his mom.
Oh.
And just so she leaves her a note and basically like, hey, you need to live your life. Like, you can't just stay in the hospital and not live your life. Satoru wanted nothing but you to be happy and to live. So
okay, well that's super sweet to know.
Do that. But it's one of those things that it's just kind of, they call it a re-story.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of added detail to help, like, I don't want to say tie up loose ends, but just kind of make everything happy-go-lucky kind of things.
Right. Well, I mean, it at least explains why Kaio did move on.
Yeah.
Start a family with one of the other friends.
Homura. His name is, give me one second. Himori. Yeah. Hiyori.
There's an M in there. Himori.
Yeah. Himori.
No, sorry, there's no R. Himori.
Hiromi. Hermori. Hiromi?
Yeah.
Words are hard.
I'm just chilling back here.
So that's why those things happen. When it comes to his mom, I mean, you kind of get all the glimpses in the anime of what she does, like that stuff where they talk about how gets the brain machine to see brainwave activity and the muscle stimulant. Like that's pretty much all that is.
She was working his body and like stretching his legs and getting the blood flowing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was nothing really about that. They do mention how when he falls into a coma, he's like 4'11", and when he gets out of a coma, he's 5'6".
Right. They did mention that in the
Still
anime
pretty
too.
short.
Mm-hmm.
He looks pretty tall in the anime.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the Asian culture goes, they are a little bit shorter than we are.
I want to say he's of average height. So there's that, and then Kaio's story, not Kaio. Kenya's story is a lot more intricate just because he goes into how it's actually Satoru that helps him become the friend that he wanted to be, where he kind of just faked everything as well in order to kind of be a good friend, where he was always better than everybody at everything. And so anytime he didn't basically win anything, he was super frustrated with himself. And then they talk about how he asked his father about that case that they had mentioned in the anime, where he kind of gets disowned because it's the case in the city, I want to say in the city C, so where the father kills the daughter, but he keeps saying that he's innocent. They do mention it where, so the reason why the city kind of disowns his father is because in the Japanese culture, if you are willing to come to the defense of an evil person, then that means you are an evil person at heart.
Right.
So that's why it's so bad. And so because he's willing to take the defense of somebody who's willing to kill a child, then he must be an evil person. And talks about that, and then he mentions that he locks the room to where he does his work at, and then 8 years later, like he goes to, or not 8 years later, so once he graduates high school, he tells Kenya that he can basically go in the room, like he gives him permission to go in the room, and he notices that the room was never locked to begin with. Like he locked it that first day, but then after that he never locked it again, kind of thing. So because Kenya was basically such a model child, his father trusted him and allowed him to read all the details about the case that he had. And he starts attempting to bring the web of events together to help find who had actually killed all these kids or all these people. And so that's how he gets involved with Sawada, the
mom's partner.
Yeah, kind of
like the news reporter.
The other news reporter.
Yeah.
So they get involved with each other because he is also attempting to find out who this murderer person is, and they because of Satoru getting his memories back, they're able to basically link everything together. So Satoru was the missing link to get all of. So you guys know all the TV shows where you get all the crazy people that have got all the webs and they can't figure out how do all these webs of information come together.
Right.
Well, Satoru is the person that brings all those webs together.
And does this moment happen before the bridge blows up?
So this actually happens after. This is a post the manga thing.
Okay.
But it kind of helps tie in that information that we're missing.
Right.
So, and yeah, that's really it. So that's the 5 chapters after the manga ends, according to the anime.
Okay. Well, that's super cool. Those are essentially OVAs right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, you could easily make all of those chapters into 1 to 2 OVAs. Or, I mean, if you wanted to make them into 3 OVAs, you could, except for his mom, you would want to probably do with Kaio's, just because it's so short.
Yeah, because that's already essentially part of the real story as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been something they could have easily done.
That's cool.
But I will say, I really did enjoy this anime as far as the pacing and everything was concerned.
I thought the pacing was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice, short, sweet 12-episode deal.
Yep.
Nothing. I didn't feel that any of it was a
Overstretched.
filler or overstretched, like trying to kill time of any sorts.
So I have a question. What would you have rather seen? The manga's ending, or were you fine with the anime's ending?
Fuck, now that you're saying the manga's ending, I want to see the manga's ending.
Yeah, including the OVAs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's way better than going up to a rainy rooftop and fake throwing yourself off a cliff only to be caught by, an airbag, but still. I mean, that's being very specific on scheduling how you want things to end. Because that's only assuming that Satoru knew that Mr. Yashio was going to bring him up to the rooftop to begin with.
I mean, he did know all of his moves before he made them, so It is possible.
Yeah, sure, it's possible. Which?
Those are funny as hell.
But I do think your manga's bridge explosion deal is way cooler.
I don't understand how the bridge explodes and how they don't die from the bridge exploding, but yeah, I'd rather see that.
Anime logic.
So he was basically trying to trap off any. So he talked about how he knew he had enough time to save Kumi, but he didn't have enough time to get to him. So the bridge exploding was going to be the way for them to not run into each other. So it was him cutting off any loose ends from getting caught, kind of thing.
Right.
And instead, because he did get caught, he's like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to kill myself, and you're going to die too in this moment. And yeah, that was the manga. I definitely enjoyed it. I read like the last 20-ish chapters in a day because I was like, oh, okay, well, this is different. I want to keep seeing what's going on.
Oh yeah, you see something different, your attention's gonna be spiked at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a great anime, man. Overall, definitely recommend it to anybody.
Oh, definitely.
Not just anime lovers, just anybody.
Anybody. You know what's sad is about a year ago I was listening to another anime podcast and they talked. No, sorry, this came out in 2016. I'm not gonna say who this anime podcast was, but they would review the first 3 episodes of each anime and then decide whether they wanted to continue watching it or not. And they shut this one down. They started talking shit. I'm like, and now that I know what the story's all about, like, dude, fuck you guys. You missed out on a great anime.
Good time, man. Honestly, it didn't take me that long to get into it.
Honestly, it took me about 4 episodes to get into it.
It did take me about 2-3.
Damn.
I was not hooked after the first 2. I mean, I thought it was just a decent anime. I'm like, okay.
You give me time travel, and you get, like I said, like I keep on saying it almost every episode. I like prequels. I like backstories.
Oh, backstory. Yeah,
I like all this
you.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, bro. Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, like totally. This is for anybody.
All right.
So before we give this a close, you guys watching anything on the side?
I just got done watching season 2 of Demon Slayer.
Oh,
I watched the whole thing.
Whole thing. Okay, as of today,
season 2's not over yet.
Season 2's not over.
But yeah.
You're caught up on season 2.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so today is January 29th, and we only have 7 or 8 episodes.
8 episodes.
We have 8 episodes of Demon Slayer. We're not going to talk about it in depth right now.
No. But
obviously.
That's what I was
well, so let me rephrase that. There's 8 episodes of the Entertainment District arc.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I'm totally cool if they start releasing arc by arc versus season by season. I think this is a cool way to throw some shit out there, yeah.
I like it. What about you, Matt? What are you watching?
So, I'm caught up on Demon Slayer. I'm watching Alpharita because that came out.
Season 2?
Season 2 came out. It's all subbed, so I'm watching both those subbed. Like I had mentioned, I just finished Food Wars, and then I started watching Jobless Reincarnation because it got nominated for Anime of the Year. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this has definitely got to be something good.
I did see that.
So I wanted to kind of get the... I watch a lot of anime since I'm watching 3 at once, so it's kind of something that piqued my interest. I wanted to see what the hype was about when it came to that one. What about you, Lance?
Me, all of my spare anime comes out to while I'm downstairs working out in my gym. I don't know if many people would consider this an anime, but it's definitely animated. I just got done finished Arcane. And Arcane, I don't know if you guys watch. It's a Netflix show.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of hype on it on like Facebook and stuff like that, and they're waiting for season 2. And so I'm like, fuck, I'll start it up. You know, while I'm doing my weights, I'll watch it. Fuck, dude. Arcane's a great ass show. I cannot wait for season 2. For anybody that's interested in Arcane, if you haven't watched it, if you have watched Spider-Man, what's the Dimensions?
No,
the cartoon one.
Oh,
Miles.
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
If you have watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's a very similar art animation.
Okay.
It's got like that oily paint kind of deal.
Okay.
But this one also does it. I don't know. That's really the best. Arcane is just a sweet ass anime. It's very great. Very enjoyed it. And I also started watching the Japanese Entertainment District.
Did you finish it?
I didn't. I just finished episode 6, so technically I'm 2 episodes behind.
Okay.
But definitely amazing.
Yep.
You were mentioning before. Where are you at Dragon Ball? With Dragon Ball?
Oh yeah. Okay. So in the beginning of our podcast, I mentioned that I had started Dragon Ball Z from the beginning, and I know it's been a slow burn, but I'm officially done with the Frieza saga.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit.
So Frieza, I'm at
Very
like episode, I don't know, 106 or so. Somewhere, I broke 100 a little bit ago. Frieza's dead. All the Namekians are on Earth. So obviously Goku went Super Saiyan and bitch slapped Frieza. That was kind of funny. I got a little bit of bitching to do. Holy crap, people are not kidding about it takes 20 episodes to do like one fight. Like,
not even just one fight, but 5 minutes.
5 minutes of one fight. So much stupid shit goes on. Like, I mean, I know this was like what, 1990
Like
animation?
90s,
Like,
90s, yeah.
It came out in the super early 1990s, but holy crap. And Goku's voice acting is horrendous. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing to go back and rewatch this stuff. But it's still a great anime. You pick out all the good stuff, and that's what makes it a great anime. So where I'm at right now is all the Namekians are on Earth, and they got all the Namekian Dragon Balls together, and they want to wish because they get the 3 wishes from Namekian balls, and one of the wishes is they wanted to bring Goku back. And Goku's like, I'm not ready yet. And that's right where I left off. Because obviously right now, from what I remember, is he's training for the instant transmission deal. So,
well, he's not. So I've watched it a bunch of times. So they say they can't bring him back because he's not dead.
No, they said it because he's not ready. They said he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to.
Yes,
but he's not dead, so they can't bring him. So they're like, oh well, let's bring him to Earth then. And they're
right.
Like,
yes.
Well, he doesn't want to come back, so
I can't grant you that wish.
Pick a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, that's how that breaks down.
Yeah, because
but I know at this point in time that he's training. He's just training.
Yeah.
And I have yet to see all this yet because I need to continue. Obviously.
See, but okay, now that you guys are just talking about that, what do you mean he can't bring him back? Like, so, if I wish for Lance to be here now, Lance is fucking coming here now.
Yeah, right.
So he's not dead. Their original wish was to bring him back.
I understand that fact.
And then they're like, oh, well,
bring him back to Earth.
Can we just bring him back? And the Shenron was like, well, he said he doesn't want to come back, so I'm not going to bring him back, kind of thing.
Oh, really? Okay, he got a decision. Yeah. All of a sudden he was asked, and he's like, nah.
I'll do it some kind of.
I know I have a family back at home, but
I'm on vacation.
I'm getting buff as fuck right now, so.
So let me ask you, Lance. How did you feel like watching him turn Super Saiyan for the first time? Because it's a monumental moment. Like, if you watched it, obviously growing up.
Growing up as a child
would have been epic.
That would have been epic. In today's standards, unfortunately, and I know that there's lots of people that are going to be upset about this, go back and rewatch it, dude. It is piss poor anime. It is, like, just to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I understand the emotional impact of it, but like the way it was drawn, the way it was animated, honestly, his English voice acting was terrible.
So are you watching it on Blu-ray or how are you watching it?
I'm watching on Funimation.
So I do have a nostalgia factor when it comes to, because every time I watch it, I'm reliving my probably 13, 14-year-old self watching it for the first time. Yeah. So that probably doesn't help. Actually, it probably was even before 13, 14 years old. Right. And so but I do completely understand your, like, if I were watching it for the first time now, I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. But it's not that, like, super badass kind of moment.
I'm spoiled. That's just the bottom line. Is today I'm spoiled. And like I said in the past, I started with the video games. So it was always awesome to begin with. And now I'm watching this, and you go from the video games and go backwards, the hype it's kind of not there. And it's a sad point for me, and I understand.
You missed out on it.
And I hate to break down other people's nostalgia about it, but
I get it.
Coming in late in the game, it's not the same.
We'll be having the same conversation when you get to Gohan and Cell. Just so you
I saw that one. I did see that one in real time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did see that one on TV back in the day.
Okay.
And I just thought it was cool. Like, I wasn't emotionally into that at the time, because obviously that was forever ago, but I did think it was cool.
Super Saiyan 2. still the best transformation.
Absolutely.
Minus Majin Vegeta. But, that's...
Yeah, because fuck Super Saiyan 3. I remember watching those episodes too, dude. There was way too much, shitty build-up. I didn't appreciate it.
It's funny that you say that because I was just watching, I was going through Facebook and I saw a video of the voice actors. But I follow a shit ton of pages and this one was for the voice actors in Mexico. So they were showing Goku's voice actor and side-by-side images of the video.
Oh yeah?
And it was when he was transforming to Super Saiyan 3. So they're just showing him yell for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Did he pass out too?
No.
I'm sure it's cool, but just the animating process and fucking Dragon Ball Z having to prolong every single second. Dude, this 300 plus episode series, I think even Kai could have even shortened it even more. But I don't know. It's just me being picky.
Dragon Ball Z is one of those things where Kai is perfect for, because you get all the great parts of Dragon Ball Z without all of the extra parts of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And
like I said in the beginning, I wish I could watch Dragon Ball Z on ×2 on Funimation. Funimation, get your shit together. Give a ×2 function.
Or give it Kai. Or just give us Kai.
Or just give us a legit Kai. You don't have a legit Kai.
Or just get a better platform.
But it's still all great. So I'm not... I watch an episode or two before I go to bed most nights.
Do you plan on watching the whole series?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll finish it off.
That's what's important. As long as you can keep going through it. It's not...
So wait, so what episode is this?
So this is episode 15. Okay. I
Okay.
know for our viewers, we record weeks in advance, obviously, because we tell you that our dates or when we start drinking is a little bit different from the date that we actually launch. And that's because we like to have a couple episodes in reserve just in case.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But no, the reason I'm asking is because you started this journey to watch Dragon Ball Z episode 1, right? Or episode 0? When did you
I think
start
technically it was before episode 0. I think...
Oh, yeah. When we recorded our episode 0, I had gotten just a handful of episodes of Dragon Ball Z, and then that's when we were starting to complain about Gohan being a bitch.
Oh, okay.
A wine bag, yeah.
So we're at episode 15, and you're done with the Frieza saga.
Yeah, and it only took 15 episodes of us to get through 100 plus episodes of Dragon Ball Z.
So like a real Dragon Ball Z episode when he fights Frieza,
Yeah.
There you go.
Timelines don't necessarily connect.
No, it's all, we're just moving that fast that it just seems like we're going really slow.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
All right, you guys got anything else? Anything else you're watching? Reading?
No.
Any mangas you're reading?
I mean, I'm reading a lot of mangas. Jujutsu, I'm still reading. My Hero Academia, I'm still reading. Plunderer, I'm still reading when new episodes come out.
Damn, man, you must take a lot of shits, man.
They would get really mad at me at work if I was if I was doing that at work.
Takes 1 hour shits.
Afarita, I'm still reading. Man, I'd have to. But it's when one episode. Well, so Jujutsu and My Hero come out every week, and then all the other stuff kind of comes out sporadically, so it's not as bad. It seems like I'm reading a lot at once, but it's like I'll have a couple weeks in between everything else but Jujutsu and My Hero, so it's okay. It's not too bad.
Cool.
So just covering a little bit of pastime. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It happens to work out.
I read it between whatever I'm reading for whatever show we're watching.
Right.
Maybe I need a little bit of a break from whatever show we're watching, because when I'm reading 40 plus chapters of something, it's like, okay, well, let me read something else.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Cleanse your palate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for today.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. Please rate and review on all of our platforms so we can keep growing our community.